I'm Jason Goins of Washington DC. I led nuclear forensics operations in Florida, and people usually ask about the science first. The science is interesting, but what the work actually taught me was about accountability, and I want to talk about that. In a forensics lab, you cannot afford to trust memory. Who had this sample, when, and what did they do with it? Those answers live on paper, not in someone's recollection. That is what chain of custody means. Every handoff is recorded. Nothing moves without a log entry. The reason is not that you distrust the people. It is that you distrust memory, which fails quietly and at the worst times. A written record does not get tired. It does not forget a step when things get stressful. So from day one, the lab runs on documentation, not because it is glamorous, because it is the opposite of glamorous, but because when a finding gets scrutinized, and in forensics it always does, the record is what you hand to the person checking your work. What I found is that the same instinct transfers. It works in any environment where you need to be able to show your reasoning later, not just claim you were right. In planning, in policy, in crisis coordination, I kept building the same thing: explicit ownership, documented handoffs, decisions recorded in writing, not described from memory at the follow-up meeting. And here is what that does for a team. When something goes wrong, you can trace it back, not to blame someone, but to find the step in the process that failed and fix it so it does not fail the same way again. A team that can do that catches its own errors before they compound. A team that cannot keeps making the same mistake and calling it bad luck. There's another piece to this. Chain of custody builds a record that outlasts the people who created it. In the military, officers rotate every couple of years. If everything lives in your head, the next person starts over. If it lives in documented procedures and logs, they pick up where you left off. I thought about that a lot. Building something that worked without me was always the point. The lab procedures were one version of that. The planning templates at Anacostia Bowling were another. The method project ARC demonstrated was another. Each of them was a bet that the work would keep going after I had moved to the next problem. That bet only pays off if you build the record while you are still there. The chain of custody mindset sounds like a lab rule. It is really an answer to a question every leader faces eventually. How do you make sure the work you built today is still working in 3 years when you are somewhere else and the people who were there with you are gone? Write it down. Record the handoff. Own the step explicitly. That is the whole answer, and it works the same way whether you are handling a sample or building a coordination plan for a NATO summit.